Cheers, man. Always great seeing you, brothers, man. Always, brother. It was good. A lot of people.
Wait for me. Wait for me. I'm gonna get a drink.
Oh man, Chris Spencer.
Steve,
For sure, man. Anytime.
Some of y'all said
up,
yes
brother?
and didn't even know what I was doing.
My favorite West Indian.
No, I sure didn't know.
Steve came and was like, all right, well,
That's a Chris Spencer move, man. That's the clout you got, though. Like Chris, hey man, meet me over here Wednesday. What we doing, Chris?
Right.
I'll tell you when you get there.
if you're not late, I'll tell you.
I'm very sad I wasn't in that stripper movie you did. That was sad for me.
Oh, back on the strip?
Ah.
You want to strip? We doing part two.
I used to be a star at Tigers.
But it was cool, though, man. Good job, man. Congratulations, brother. Definitely.
Listen, it is beyond an honor to have you three men here in front of me. You know, so funny, you always hear from some of our cohorts that, you know, black people don't work together in Hollywood. I don't know what that is, because I've never called you, and I've never called you, and you guys didn't say yes, or give me a quick no. So I appreciate that you guys are here tonight.
Yeah.
Black people don't, but niggas do. We work together.
Niggas work together. It's the blacks. It's the blacks, yes. Once you get past a bachelor's degree,
Yeah.
they're
Put
the
that
fun.
extra BL on
Yeah.
blacks.
Blacks.
No, well, you know, I mean, of course, I feel like we come from a generation where it's just different anyway. Like, we definitely had to be in the clubs together. I always think about me and DL. We heard of each other, and then we saw each other in the airport in St. Louis.
Okay, what year was this?
Like, this was...
Early 90s, late 80s.
Maybe late 80s, yeah, late 80s. You know, everybody flying Southwest, you know what I'm saying? You know, trying not to be in the backward seats when they had the backward seats on there.
Sure.
And this was before business select, so you could just had to get on when you got on. Matter of fact, it was a gunshot, and then you get on the it was like the running of the cow on the bulls. They like the plane's here, and cow.
They had ashtrays in the seat.
Like Black Friday.
Yes, 'cause you can smoke back there. Yes.
It was
But I remember those moments right there, and of course, Steve was almost the same way for me. Like somebody else had mentioned him to me, and so we knew of each other.
Right.
So wait, let's just figure out where were you guys exactly in your careers? You're headlining clubs before you guys all met. Are you guys middle? Where like?
Well,
No.
there was really no. For a long time, you couldn't work anywhere, and Steve provided. I remember Vuku Ray's.
Yeah.
I'll never forget this. It was by the Redbird Mall.
Now tell everybody where Vuku Ray's is.
It's Dallas.
Yes.
I've been to Redbird
Dallas,
Mall.
South Dallas,
Yes.
Oak Cliff.
And he had,
Oh, yeah.
so it wasn't that many places that black people could work, but he had this club called Vuku Ray's. And I'll never forget, I remember Erykah Badu used to write there, used to be a writer.
Yeah,
She's
a waiter.
what?
A waitress and a writer. She was and I remember I was playing Vuku Ray, because it's the only place that black people could get money, because you couldn't work. There were no comedy clubs for you to work. They weren't really accepting of black people back then. But he had this joint, and I remember I was on stage, and I remember you came in, and we did till like almost 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, just on stage.
We were on stage till 6 o'clock in the morning, and nobody would leave. It was 6 o'clock, and we started at like 2.
Is that on tape somewhere?
Nah, I don't know.
I don't
We
think
weren't
so.
recording like that back then.
No.
No, people still
We
had
didn't really
brick
know we
phones.
was gonna be nothing.
What'd you say?
We didn't really know we was gonna be nothing. So
No.
record for what?
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
But that's kind of like the beginning of the Kings.
I mean, really, that night, we didn't know it, but it was a prelude to what we were going to do eventually, because I was at the club, and like DL said, I was the first one that was paying black acts, because I wanted them to make money like I wanted to make money.
Right.
Yeah.
So for you to come to my club and make $1,000 or $1,500 for the weekend, that's what I paid them. That was unheard of in '89. You don't get that kind of money, man.
Right.
You got
the first time
You would have thought I was in a slave movie when he first. His boy offered me $1,000. I was like, Mr. Harvey, son. I sure do thank you, son. Lord have mercy. You knows what this gonna do for my family.
You put all you missed was the
$1,000.
Yeah.
It was.
I remember you
wouldn't get
paid
that
me.
at all.
I went back and cried because I'd never seen that.
And a plane ticket and a hotel room.
It was such a different thing because
Yeah, it was.
I'd never seen. I was like, this is all mine. Like Mary, it was like he ran it like a pro. You got your bread, and I was like, maybe I can work.
Cash?
What, took a chance right there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Brought up Mary.
Yeah, he whispered.
He whispered it. I mean, I can say it.
I
Did you hear how he
held my
said
head
it?
down.
I can only tell you.
Did you hear how he did it? He said,
Anyway.
"Is it okay we sing?"
No.
But we used to be in the back, and he was
Only friends.
He had all his people, and he signed the. You like Debbie? Not, it was like
It was professional.
No,
it was like real, and I was like, Steve. And I remember you gave me a bonus, and he said, yeah, man, we did well, and so this notion that you referred to earlier, that black people don't work together, is a fairly new notion, and I think it's an incarnation of what we are
Of
as a
podcast.
society. Right. It is.
Okay, yeah.
Damn those podcasters! You damn bloggers!
Right.
Yeah.
And
Because-
they've co-opted a narrative that seems we wouldn't be where we are without each other. Like there's something interesting. If black people have black teachers, they do better. If they have black doctors, they live longer. If those are the case, if I can learn and live, then how the fuck are we bad for each other?
I'm gonna say this. So what DL just said is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Earlier they was saying, tell them again. He said when they would do interviews.
On Kings, we would let you do all the interviews.
Yeah.
You the smart
You were
one
so
in the group.
eloquent.
So we would all just try to act like we smart. So I would always join in and go, let me just say this. What DL just said is what I was thinking.
Because Dio had vocabulary.
Right.
Me and Sid was just over there agreeing. Because Dio had words and vocabulary, and we was just sitting there. So we decided that all the King interviews, let DL handle it, because he could speak eloquently for us. 'Cause we
That
was
is
just in there.
preposterous.
Yeah. Yeah, we would just jump in.
Yeah, you just jump in.
Co-signing with
Last
ignorant
word
stuff. Yeah, it'd be like that.
Yeah.
You know, and that though, you can't write that in the article. It'd be like that. Look at here, that there. That don't really.
Nobody want to write that.
Well, good, you know.
I'm a professional. I can't write, look at here, that.
But you know, man, in the beginning, what happened was, see, we did comedy the way it was supposed to go. Our objective on stage was to make you laugh.
Right.
It wasn't to shock you. We went out there to make you laugh as hard as we could.
Right.
And we depended on each other to get that job done, man. Like we stuck to our time on the Kings for the most part. The first year was a little hectic.
Right.
Right. Now let's go back. What is that first year? 19?
first
'Cause you
90,
told me I've read that first it was just the two of you guys,
Well,
and then Guy hosted, and
well,
then,
it was the three of us. The real first Kings of Comedy was me, Steve, and Bernie,
Right.
with Guy as the MC. So he would do the night, but he did his job,
Right.
which was great.
Yeah.
You know, like anybody knows, you doing an arena tour, big basketball arenas. You got 16,000 people out there, and you go first.
Right.
Like you got a job to do, and he did it.
And listen,
like, he
he's
did
very
it like
brilliant.
he
We
did
all
it like
know
a
that.
G.
All done.
Like so, he set it up great, and so, but then you know. I remember like Walter. He did like a couple of
Walter
days with just with just Steve and Bernie before the idea grew into a big idea. Like I
Right.
think,
Right.
And then they added me. Then the next year we added DL, and then that's when it became.
And that's when it became
Kings.
really the Kings.
where the name.
But the name was on the three of us though. That was when the name,
okay.
in '98. Like I got a poster. It's just the three of us. So I got a poster somewhere. Or maybe it's a picture, or maybe it's just in my mind, Chris.
I never saw that, but I have a deal sitting on this table over there, boy. That'd be the
You
craziest.
know I'm with it.
I'm telling you, it's the craziest.
Am I
shit.
part of it or am I Guy T?
You got T, man, but still.
Still, I'll open.
You love it.
Okay,
But
good.
bro, I'm talking about the craziest deal you've ever seen.
All right. Well,
For the Kings?
Because the King,
problem.
because look, man, regardless as to what anybody has ever said,
Right.
after Bernie passed, there was no discussion of replacing Bernie.
Right.
That was never, we've never had, there was never discussion of anybody except us. We were the only Kings ever. Even from the conception of Kings, where are these other people who were talking about I could have been a king?
Right.
Hold up, dog. Who were you in '98? Nobody knew you. And then when Bernie passed, we never had one discussion
Right.
about replacing Bernie Mac with another king. I don't even know where that came from.
Yeah, people would say that. People would always ask you, who you think? But you know, like for us, it was definitely a different space in our time, in our life, and you know, that kind of unity. You just, it's like you can't.
You haven't seen black like unity like that since the Negro Leagues.
Right.
Like that African proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I have never been. When I hear people say the things they say, it is anathema to what we've been through. Like, no one would ever go over somebody else's time. I remember having a joke. This is something that nobody knows. I remember before we shot the movie, because we didn't know we were going to shoot the movie. Mm-hmm. I shot a special 6 weeks before we shot the movie. It's called Going Home. And I was telling Sid and Steve and Bernie, I'm like, man, I don't have no material. And I remember them sitting in the room with me. Imagine having to shoot an hour and then have to write 30 minutes in 2 weeks.
That's
Imagine doing your best
Chris
shit.
Spencer on a Tuesday.
But I'm not like.
That's Chris Spencer on a Tuesday, man. He doing that all day long.
Yeah, and they
but still,
said in it.
it's different to write it for somebody,
No, for sure,
and then
though.
they get to work it out. But you're talking about writing, and then
Harv did that too, though. Harv had to do that.
Hey, man, because let me tell you something. The first night of the King tour was in Charlotte.
Forgot about
Yeah.
that.
The first
Was in
again?
Charlotte.
Yep.
Okay.
My mother had died that month. I was wiped out. My HBO special, One Man, aired December 21st. The first night of the Kings was December 26th. I was so tore up behind my mama passing. My mama died in December, dog. So for a month, man, I was a blur. So when my special aired on December 21st, I ain't even watch it, because I was in a coma, man. I thought I didn't think I was gonna make it. Well, 5 days later, we in Charlotte. I don't know it, but I'm doing my set. I'm pulling out my best set, which happens to have aired
Already
5 days ago, and everybody saw it. So now I'm out there, and they just looking at me. We heard that.
Yeah.
Tell another joke. So the next day, this comedian on the radio, Axum or whatever his name was, he just annihilated me. I'm on the way to the airport here. He don't deserve to be a king. He ain't a king. He wasn't funny.
Just
Told
because you
him,
were doing material that you did before.
yeah, man, because I didn't know my special had aired
Gotcha.
5 days before. So the next night we were in Kansas City. I set up all night and wrote a new set. But all I did was just pull back stuff I had never done on camera before.
Right.
Right.
You know, and then I did it the next night and got a standing ovation. So I went from the opening night of the Kings and he shouldn't even be a king to I was boom. And then DL came and the same thing happened to D, man.
But you know what you did to me? Y'all sat in the room with me. Like, it had just said it was a big special. HBO didn't. I can't have it now. It's called Going Home.
This is one in the yellow suit?
The yellow suit. It's Going Home.
Yeah.
I said, man, I can't do it. They sat in the room with me, him, Bernie, and Steve,
Wow.
and said, do this, and wrote me a set that I wouldn't even do till that day of the show. So when people tell me about these things that we're not unified, or when I hear people have these conversations about men I know and have been in the trenches with, it's insulting to me.
Bro, that's crazy, man, because
Yeah.
we work together. Hey, man, let me tell you something, man. We had a togetherness that I ain't seen since.
Yep.
Because we was committed to making this money.
Yep.
And we was committed to each other looking good.
Yeah.
Like, we all had jokes with the same premise.
Right.
You know, people kill me with this joke stealing stuff. Dog, these premises, there are no new premises.
Right.
So we would hear each other set. We might go, hey, man, you doing that tonight? Because I'm going to do mine. All right, go ahead.
Right.
I'm going to skip. You do yours tomorrow night. I'll do this one tonight. I'm going to do a joke about parking lots. You do your parking lot joke tomorrow. And we work like that.
Camaraderie.
And that was, bro.
It was not correct. It's love.
It's love. Well, let me tell you why I know that whatever they're saying is not true, because when I had the late night talk show vibe, which was next door to the Steve Harvey show,
Yeah.
Sully McCullough's here, my roommate from college, who was one of the writers. There would be nights where we didn't have a guest. And I'd be like, Sully, go see what Steve and them doing. And he would knock on the door and come back, and these dudes would do sketches, skits, whatever. So
Yeah, on the spur of the moment.
The
Bro,
spirit-
make up stuff.
make up stuff. So I don't know what people are talking about when they say black people don't work together. Because it's always
it's insulting. And the thing that I find insulting, I'm not mad at somebody for having an experience. I am mad at somebody for accepting that his experience is indicative of the way stuff goes.
Right.
Like sitting on a couch doesn't mean we at a club, we're in a courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody lie at a club.
Right.
When the last time somebody told the truth at a club?
Right.
But this idea that you can assault somebody else's entire career because of your individual experience with it.
Right.
And that a nation would go, oh, that must be true because, and it really, because two things we loved each other and we loved this art form.
Right.
I met Steve because I'd heard about him. He's a bad dude out of Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
I remember said he was a bad dude out of St. Louis. And you would hear that it was mythic. It was like hearing about Bigfoot or fucking a unicorn.
Because we never worked each other. We never worked with each other because in the white clubs, they didn't hire two black acts.
Ever.
Right.
Back together. And Ced got sent home because he was working with a black dude.
Ooh.
And they would send you home. That's how I met him.
At the white club.
If there was a black headliner, there was going to be a white middler.
You got to
white
go home.
Yeah, you can't be there. And so I drove.
Even in your
that was my
hometown?
first time. I drove 10 hours to Dallas expecting to get this money and had drove down there. And then Steve was doing this. He was on the radio doing Vuku Ray. And yeah, of course, I had heard about him from another comic. I get down there to do the White Club. It's another black headliner. They tell me we both came to the
James
same
Stevens
show.
III.
Of course, everyone knows.
Wow.
got the radio. You know what's going on. You know, but in theory though. It was one of these things, and I go by his club, and, you know, I'm stuck, man. I mean, I was supposed to make, I got $150 or $120. I got to stay with a girl. I took her to Applebee's when that was new. That was big time.
Sure.
Don't judge.
Stop it. It wasn't never.
Yeah, come on. Applebee's when it first came out, man. Come on, man.
Yeah.
That was big time.
Yeah, that was before the
Boy,
club.
I was somebody. You know, she was like, let me stay with her for that. You know, I was like, oh, so that was.
Gave me the riblets. I'm gonna get it.
Like, yeah, that was my move. But then I was supposed to make 300,
right?
And they canceled it all. So I go by Steve. He go by. It just so happens that the headliner is bombing, like this dude. And the person I saw I'd seen him maybe a month before. It was
Who was it?
Funny Rex Garvin.
Damn. Oh,
yeah. He's the funniest dude I ever saw in my life, dog.
Yeah.
Like I saw him in Atlanta. I was like, dog, this dude funny as hell.
Yeah.
But he wasn't working in Dallas at the night. So and so Steve's like, man, you think you can go up and, you know, just do something with this crowd? I go up, I kill. He said, look, man, I can't promise you nothing, but come back. If this dude keep bombing, I'm gonna let you go on stage and I'm gonna figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And sure enough, you ain't never wish nobody bad. That's the only time black comics really don't work together. when it was time for me to like, we was like, wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, eventually he started doing good, but I was working, so he kept throwing me up as this surprise at the end of the night.
Yeah.
And then he was able to put 200 and then book me. That's when he booked me. He gave me 200 to get home, and then booked me for 1,000 and had out.
I'm telling you.
I just see, never. Now, it was just too much for one because all of it felt like a crush.
Yeah.
And then for somebody to see you and go, I see you.
Right.
Like, you know, it was dope. So, but basically, that was one of those things that we really became really tight friends from there. For us, man, we not a monolith. The thing about black comedy gets put in a category that we kind of all the same. And what we love about it, for me, the business, that everybody's different. So even though we might hit premises and things that are culturally the same, like, we not the same. Like, so, dog, like, if you approach a joke where you doing literally somebody joke for joke, that's one thing.
Right.
But if you saying a premise, bro, like that,
Nobody owns it.
that's just it's too much to. And I'm like, I'm never in it for that. Like, I love comedians. I want to see everybody win. I like different styles. I like people that get off. Like, none of that is for me. So I just can't even buy into the energy. So that was the whole thing. Like when that shit came at me, which is the first time I ever had social media.
We were all blown away.
Let me tell you something. It's the best shit ever.
He loved it.
It's the best shit.
I had never had social media.
I've never heard. It made me so happy. Let me tell you something, nigga. I've never heard anybody say anything bad about Ced. Ever.
That shit was classic.
I told Ced I mean, one time.
We laughed the whole time. That was when people was like, "Why you ain't mad?" I'm like, "Bro,
Finally."
Dick Gregory said something one time, and I had to go on pretend like I was somebody else just to say bad shit about him to try to get it going. He has such a good reputation. when I first heard what happened,
He had
You talking about when he was talking about him on Barbershop?
yeah, he did that. The St. Louis nigga, I'm like, he is a nigga. I'm so happy.
That was
When
classic,
the
too.
whole Shay Shay thing went down, I called him and said, nigga, you know, I prayed for this nigga. I'm so tired.
There is a God.
Of people just love it. Oh, steady, man. Steady. Fine. And I called him. I said, nigga, I did it. I made a doll.
You prayed for this
I
moment.
made a doll and sacrificed a goat. Found a virgin. I was so, but because
classic.
he has such a pristine reputation, I've never heard anybody say anything bad about him. Steve and me, we've done a lot of shit that people don't like.
We stay in it.
So it's not.
Look, man, we stay in the fire. I understand me being in the fire.
Right.
Cause I'm out of
Me too, I
a whole
understand.
lot of stuff.
Hey.
I understand me being in the fire. See, man, what didn't happen to comedy is, and this is not a knock on hip hop, but we started allowing comedy to be infused with hip hop, and it's two different things, man. Why are we beefing? What is this beef about? Do your set, do the best set you can, and then you got to follow somebody. There's some cats out there laying down 4-inch tar on that stage, so you can walk your ass out here if you want to. It's gonna be hot and sticky. But you got to get your shit together.
Right.
But we was from the era when it was a lot of lions out there.
A lot of lions.
I'm talking about everybody had a cold set.
Right.
No, you can't go out there. It's Joe Torre. It's J. Anthony Brown.
Teddy
It's George Wallace. It's Teddy Carpenter. It's
Tony Woods.
It's dog. It's gorillas out here.
Jamie. Shit, Jamie was doing
Jamie
stand-up
Foxx.
like this. Like
Ricky
Dog.
Harris.
Then here come Martin. Then here come, and now you next. Them are the two most fearful words in comedy. You next.
All right, I definitely want to go back to the actual beginnings of the Kings, the tour, how you guys went from theater to arenas and stadiums. But I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Bernie Mac.
Yeah.
What made this man so special?
For me, I mean, B at the time, he was just like, he was a big brother and a comrade all at the same time. Like one of these people that, you know, he did a lot of comedy in Chicago, which till this day, it just builds some amazing comedians. You could just start pulling them out the air. Like, you know, they just one of them cities where it's just like bad dudes coming out. And B was one of the top ones. And so I just remember meeting him. I was going to do Def Comedy Jam in New York, and he came up.
What year was
came
this?
up to me. This is 90. I don't know when did Def Jam start? It was
the first
second.
year.
It was the first year, but the second taping. They shot it in two different things, and you know. So, but Bernie came. He came and took me to lunch. We went out in New York. We went to lunch to talk, and I say that like it was a really dope place, like it was, but it was Sabaros, and so, but I always say like he took me to lunch, and it sounds like we were at, you know.
Yeah, but back then,
got that rock feeling at Red Hot.
What, took you to Cipriani's? No, Sabaros. We grabbed a slice. But he just explained to me like not to be scared of New York, which is in your mind.
Yes.
The first time you go to New York, it's just a place that intimidates you as another comedian. And so that's when he did the I Ain't Scared of You Motherfucker show, which became legendary. But it was one of these things where he had that kind of energy. He was like, yo, grab you, hey man, blah, 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 give you the game. And then he was always himself. He had them sayings, I walk alone. I'm on the 50-yard line, but it's first and goal. You'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Somehow that makes sense. I don't know.
The funny thing about Bernie was that he never believed, because everybody talked about the way he spoke and his cadence, that they would ever accept him. So when we did Kings of Comedy, his whole thing is he never believed.
He mentioned that in the special.
I remember we used to do the Slits. What was it? The
Miller Genuine Draft.
Miller Genuine Draft tour, and I toured Bernie a lot. And the thing that he always did, he never. Have you ever seen somebody who has a lazy eye, and you pretend like they don't, so you line up to their vision? You're like trying to.
Right.
That's what Bernie was. He made the world line up to the way he saw things.
Yeah.
And I had never seen anything like it. And the thing I lament the most, and I remember talking to Steve and said about this, is that
Hold on, let me look. Can you Google lament?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
You have to
Yes.
stay with it.
all y'all
That's
niggas
what-
that's
in college,
why I
that's the
know.
thing. Y'all
Yeah,
just-
but we didn't take English in
just
college.
read the books that y'all get assigned.
Nah.
But I remember when Bernie told me he was sick. When nobody told, because Bernie was never that type of cat.
Right.
But I found out he was sick, and I thought, well, I'll finish this tour. I was out, and then I'll go see him. And then he died when I was in Vegas. So I remember we all had to fly together. And I remember right after the gig, we all went to work. Like we went to the funeral, then everybody went back to work. But I think that the thing Bernie reminds me of kind of like in an off way, like Moses, how they get to lead people to promised land, but they never really get to get it. But he got enough of it. Like he got a show. Like it was, but just right when it started to really percolate, it was over. And that would seem like David Arnold reminds me a lot of that journey, where like it's just people
Robin
are still like get it. Robin Harris.
Yeah.
So we had always seen these kinds of things, but it seemed so unfair. And I remember there's Ricky Harris and Robin Harris and Bernie and David Arnold. That all the sentiment I had when they all passed was, this seems so patently unfair because the world is finally gonna get a chance to see what we always saw.
See, and the thing for me was with Bernie was a special dude, man. So you know when I hear stuff about us and I hear stuff about the dissension, I don't really know what they talking about. Because the thing about Bernie was a man's man. So when somebody say, you know, they treated Bernie like shit, that was impossible. Bruh, that was impossible. This dude right here was Chicago South Side to his core and blood. You mistreat this dude right here, you know the problem you gonna have instantly. And he had his boy. The dude they need to interview for Bernie Mac is Chuck Gaino. Because Chuck Gaino was with him every step of the way, man. And we just worked and worked and worked. And Bernie would go on stage and we'd all pull up a chair backstage where the monitors were to watch Bernie, because we used to call it, let's go see the train wreck. Because Bernie never did the same set twice. He was gonna do something, like he would do stuff like, he would make the ministers stand up. All the ministers in the crowd, and they'd stand up, and then he'd go, turn to your neighbor, tell him you love him, the whole hands, turn around and speak to a total stranger, tell him you, repeat after me. I don't wanna hear this shit, so stop making us do this. And I'm going like, whoa, and he be going, Bernie, they're pastors. And Bernie didn't care, man. And we would sit there and go, and he would have the rest of the kings with their mouth hanging open backstage.
Which makes me, it's weird because I always think...
Here you go, he going off the highway. He about to get on the dirt road. He getting on the dirt road, here you go.
I always think what would happen now. One of the saddest things, but I always wonder what the world would have been like in this current iteration if they'd have seen what he did. Like, because it's a whole different thing. I mean, we used to watch him to see what color he was wearing. Like, Bernie had colors that weren't even crayon book. I'm like, nigga, Crayola ain't about this shit. But I'll never forget how the first time I ever got a manicure and a pedicure was with Bernie. Because I didn't know people did that. I didn't think men did that shit. He used to say things, but the thing I thought was the most beautiful about him is he never thought that people would accept him. So he was determined to be quintessentially him. He was going to be who he was, because it's like Kareem, and I said this in the show, it's like Kareem and the Skyhook, man. So when I hear people, like I have sat on the outside and heard any number of people say all of these things that I know not to be true. Now, I can't tell you what your experience with these men are, or what your idea of them are, but I know these are men. I've always enjoyed the company of men who were men, and who had regard and esteem. And we grew up with men who were willing to do anything they had to do to take care of their family. The coal miner's son, you know, boxer, your father, a gambler, doing what he had to do. My father working that airline. We were men like that. And so when I hear people cavalierly saying the shit that they say, it's insulting to the lineage of people we come from. It's like you would do anything. They'll never talk about it. It's times I needed money, they gave it to me, nobody said anything about it. It was times I needed encouraged. Nobody said anything about it and just did it. So when I hear these things,
Not then, but now.
all the time,
Now I kind of been wanting
Like, how much do you ask for if you need money now?
like I don't know how many times he's seen me going through stuff and it just hit me. Because I'm for some reason I'm always in some bullshit for no reason at all.
Yeah.
But
You're a former gangbanger from LA.
but it's just when I see the narrative that's being co-opted about men now I'm talking about you guessing about or heard about or saw or
well, that's the thing too. I always think I think that too. We also definitely in that space of respect where like people often because we did the show together, we did the Kings. People really don't believe me and Steve friends. So people think that it's I'm like, no, dog. I said, I literally just talked to him. But and then, of course, they see me and DL together quite a bit, you know. But it is that kind of thing, that yokeness that happens that people would love for it to be false. Right? And it ain't like we talk every day, but when we do, it's automatic. It's not a like, oh, dog, you ain't called me. Like, guys don't you know what's yours. You know where it belongs, the honesty in it. And so that's that truth. And you recognize this man is busy, got 137 jobs in 16 different countries.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying?
Game shows.
And the game show. Yet. You know what I mean?
No, you can see the love.
You know it's automatic when
You can see the love. You had the golf tournament. I don't know if it was overseas or your other one that's local. And Cedric popped up.
Yeah.
And your face lit up like my brother has returned home from Vietnam. And to see the love you guys had for each other when you saw each other.
Dog, it's like when I went to his golf tournament down in Mexico, and then I saw DL.
Yeah, no, that's the next
I
thing I was
hadn't
going
seen
to say.
it, dude. Man, we be standing there and we lose ourselves in each other.
can see
and
it.
people be standing around talking about, hey, come on now, we want to get... No, man, these two dudes right here matter to me in a way where, like, you know, like he say, like if we going through something, we'll call each other because we feel for each other, because we know the real person.
Right.
Yeah.
I know they lying about you online. I know that podcast is bullshit. Hanging that dog, don't pay no attention to that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, and look, man, just because you can talk smooth without saying, it don't mean you ain't lying.
Right.
I be sitting up here looking at these podcasts of these other comedians that's going on talking about other comedians. Hold up, dog. Where did that shit come from? When did we become that? When did we get into tear each other down business? Because you ain't never heard me say not a disparaging remark against another comedian nowhere. You ain't heard him, or him. Because we ain't cut from that cloth.
Right.
So what is your motive for doing this here? And you're not going to tear him down. And look, man, I got a real platform. I got a radio show that do 9.5 million people every day on it. I could cut that mic on and let you have it. I'm talking about I could fix your career on a permanent basis, partner, because I got 4 hours a day to do it. I don't do that.
Right.
I ain't got no minutes for you, man.
Right.
I'm not in the tear down business. I'm in the uplift business, regardless as to what you say. So see, man, we come from an era when comedy, we was out there, like I said, to make people laugh. And we supported each other in that, because at the end of the day, the Kings of Comedy was the whole.
Yeah.
It wasn't the individual. Yeah. If the King tour did good, we did good. Man, we got bonuses some nights. Dog, we would go home and we'd be on the plane with the money. We'd be going, is this shit for real, man? This dog, we would get bonuses. We were selling so many tickets.
Yeah.
Bro, we was just making money.
I remember when I passed out on stage, right? And I shut comedy down. And
You talking about back then, or you talking about recently? The COVID.
It doesn't matter. The COVID. When I passed out on stage.
I'm like, I didn't know if that was the
First person I heard in the hospital.
I didn't know if he was known for passing
It
out.
happens a lot.
Okay, good.
But the first thing I heard from him was him. He called the hospital, got through. Say his wife, and his daughter, we talking when niggas was dying.
Right.
Like nobody knew what it was.
No, that's when COVID was like, hey.
Come on now. So his wife
scary.
and his daughter would drop off food every night.
Wow.
Every night on my porch, and they would run out before.
I was there too, dog. I came.
DL, your food here.
Yeah.
Right. And John Stanley with alkaline water. And then, do you know what it's like when everybody saw what happened to you.
Oh, yeah.
And then, remember
We were all together.
right. And everybody saw what happened to me. Nobody would touch me. Nobody would talk to me. Everybody was scared of me. You called me when I was in the hospital. I never forget that. But Ced's wife would bring me food every day. Back then it was a 14-day quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
On the 15th day, Ced and his wife Lorna came over. I'll never forget this. And bought cake. And we didn't know nothing about it. And said, like, 15 days you're supposed to be safe. And this nigga hugged me like this. If I'm oh my God.
Don't kill me.
And it was the first, the people can fuck up. It was the first human being, my wife is the first human being that touched me.
Right.
My wife was like, fuck me, nigga, you stand downstairs. Kid was, this nigga went,
That's beautiful.
and we ate. So when I hear people say shit, I'm like,
Yeah.
what I know these dudes.
Right.
And I know what comedy meant. Comedy lifted so many people out of so many dire circumstances.
Right.
And I can't even talk about what it is people see now. But I hate when a purveyor of negativity, all of a sudden we're the thing that everybody focuses as dysfunctional. We are men who love people, who love what we do.
Right.
We love our families. We love the fact that we have been able to do a thing that delivers out of circumstances that none of us would have came out of.
Yeah.
And then I hear you shitting on what we've worked a lifetime to create. It is sad to me.
But listen, man. But what we created with the Kings spawned a whole generation of comedy. And people don't understand this. See, these cats are selling out arenas now, more power to them. Like Kevin Hart is a real giant.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a real comedy giant. You understand? He's not a plant. That's
Right.
that's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. How's Kevin Hart a plant? Kevin Hart's a real giant, man. This dude can sell out an arena overseas right now, just on
It's
the
like
word.
I tell my kids, you don't work harder than Kevin Hart. You don't. So the thing that you talk about, the when people see people and they see their success, you forget that they get up every day and do it. That's what. So like when it's already successful, that's when people get to go and be like, oh, it just seems like. And so like the idea someone's a plant, you go like, nah, bruh. Like this dude,
Bruh.
we as comics, we ain't seen the days
we know
when it was
how
not that.
hard
We
it
saw
is.
we saw the Soul Plane, we saw the
Yes.
ABC series, them times when it's up, it looked like it's up and then it's completely
Right.
down,
Hosted
and everybody's
Comedy
stomping on you,
Yeah.
and then you get back up.
Right.
No, this dude one of the most resilient human beings I've ever
Man,
seen
let
in
me
my
tell you.
life, dog. Like, and I tell people that all the time. I said one thing about Harv, dog. Like I learned from him out of all of it is that it ain't never about the good times. It's all about how you look at your life and wake up every day and be you. I seen this dude get knocked down and come back like stronger than ever, like every time, like more than once. And so to me, those are the lessons that you learn from a human being, not the success. Yeah, do we all want his money? Sure. Yeah, I would love to have Steve's money.
He thought you were talking about somebody else.
Yeah, I was
What is that?
Saudi, look at that. That's a drobe or something. A throbe with a.
That ain't out here yet. That ain't
We don't have this in
Ain't
the
nobody got
States.
that.
I think the last time I saw that was Kashif.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where does that resilience come from, Steve?
That's true.
Well,
coal miners.
man,
Slick Harvey.
it is. My father, man. I mean, look, I was always taught that it ain't ever over. As long as you waking up, it ain't over. I don't care what you do to me. I don't care what you say to me. I don't care what happens to me. If God wake me up tomorrow morning, that's another shot.
Yep.
And that mean it ain't over for me. And I just recover, man. And it's hard, but and I used to question God with a lot of his decisions with me. Like, why is my life like this? I didn't do that. Why you letting these people talk about me? Look, I saw something online that said, I used to ask God all the time, why you taking me through all these deep troubled waters? And the answer was, because your enemies can't swim. And you know, I'll be out there sometimes looking at my life like, whoa. And look, man, I'm like an internet sensation. They just do me on the internet just because it ain't nothing else to do.
Wait, let me send this right now.
I'll be like, damn, man. And I'll be like, damn, because I ain't done half the stuff they say I do. But that's a part of the process, because everything you going through is God preparing you for where he taking you. So now I had to develop this alligator skin, because I was going to be in the forefront of a lot of stuff, you know. I was first black game show host, first black to host Miss Universe, first person to do this, first person to attempt that. Well, that puts you out in front of a lot of stuff. When you get out in the front, man, you get a lot of haters. And I say this to all my dudes, man, when I'm talking to them. You got to understand something about a hater. You've never had a hater that's doing better than you. Ever. Think of all your haters. Ain't none of your haters doing better than you. So now, what's the purpose now? So you gotta understand now what it is. The haters is to throw you off track and distract you. And you gotta distract me because you see where I'm headed. But regardless of all the distractions, like say, I know how to get up. I'm gonna get up because it ain't about you. Haters are not decision makers, power brokers, or shakers and movers. Right. They just haters, man. They got one job, to rob you of your destiny. And if you let them, if you come down off the wall, like I don't come down off the wall to address none of them. I'm on the wall, man, I'm climbing. I'm not coming down on your level to address you. You take that monkey shit somewhere else. You talking to somebody else, because I'm on a different level. The Kings was on a different level. And I appreciate Kevin Hart when he come on interviews, because Kevin say, hey, man, the Kings gave me the inspiration. The Kings gave me the forethought. The Kings, but we laid it out there like it had never done before. Of course, that was Raw. Raw was huge. Yep. You understand? Right, yep. Nobody greater than Pryor. We can all stop trying to get that. Right, that ain't gonna happen. Chappelle ain't finna be Pryor. Kevin Hart ain't finna be Pryor. You're not finna be Richard Pryor.
It's interesting because I remember when the universe thing happened. I sent you this thing. I said, if you never fallen, you never climb, which you exemplify. Because I've never seen Sid go through anything, so I was so happy it happened. Even now, it makes me happy. Even now, after I see all the carnage, I'm so happy.
After the carnage.
But I remember when I was, you know, because the thing that I know more than anything else is that when you go through shit and you're a man, you're going to go through it alone, basically. You'll have men or people you respect edify you. But even that process lets you know, hey, look, you're going to go through it alone, but on the other side of this is this. Right. They have and I think what happens to comedians is we're not like actors or songwriters. Like they feel like they know us on a more intimate level.
Right.
So we can disappoint them more. Like they feel like we're and and what we do is so simple that they feel like they can do it too. Because they do it all the time. Right.
You know what I really like to, you know, when I think about this, it kind of goes back to like building a brand, understanding like how you make people laugh, how you go into people's hearts, is that both of us, all of us, I mean, here, including you, Chris, have these very long careers, man, like people that still do it. And that lets you know that at the basis of it, it's a core to what it is that you love and who and how you touch people. Because that part ain't promised to you. Like, you can be a hot comedian for a period of time, but the fact that we all still have relevancy, we still are in this business, loving what we do, you wake up every day excited to do it, that's the part that somebody who's only shooting the dart, right, they cannot. You missing the whole mark, bro, because that has nothing to do with how I affect what it is that I do on a daily basis. And the fact that I get up and I still love it, and that we all still do it at these very high levels as individuals and collectively. Like, that's even uniquely having you have us here today, like, you know, coming here to hang out is a very special thing because, you know, we all wanted to do it mainly to see each other, right? Yeah. Like, you know,
and to get free drinks.
That's all. You know, but at the same time, that uniqueness is because, you know, it ain't like, you know, the one dude is the leader of the band, you know what I'm saying? And you got, you know, but I mean, you start to think about like this ideology of like, I mean, it's like seeing New Edition, if you will, right? It's a thing to see them individually and know that everybody got their own kind of recognition, but when you see them all together, that's also a very special thing. And that's what's unique about the Kings, man.
Us coming here, man, like, it's easy because for me, man, is that I don't want people to forget. I just don't, man. Because I know the significance of what we did and who we were. Because I'm a student of the game. I studied comedy, man. I didn't just, I paid attention to it. Like, I know who Richard Pryor is. I know he won't be surpassed. I don't care who do it. You know, everybody talking about, like, you know, man, like Chappelle's ability to work right now. Chappelle's ability to work right now, the way he works is because he's not sponsorship driven. You got sponsors on your radio show, you got sponsors on your TV show, I got sponsors on TV and radio. I can't say nothing Dave Chappelle says, or else them sponsors pull. Right. Well, he's not sponsorship driven, he's subscription driven. That's a whole nother set of freedom. So, but let me tell you something. We were saying all of this stuff. We done said all of this stuff, man. Everything he done said, we said, except we didn't, some of the alphabets wasn't out back then, but we said everything he said back then. And like he was about to refer to what Bernie, if Bernie was alive today doing what Bernie was doing, bro, how far could this go?
He couldn't even do it.
Bro, my first joke I ever told when I first gig was an age joke. I told an age joke how it infected the entire cast of Dynasty. The audience was vomiting laughing, but guess what? That was 1985.
Right.
You tell that joke today.
Yeah, you know, I think it's funny now because the 1990s was really the last, like if you look at all that's happening right now with everybody right now, the 1990s was the last stop for to do some foul shit. Like it's the last stop.
You can fire it off, baby.
It's the last. Like
you gotta get off the train.
Like this, you better stop at 89 because it was a time when people could do whatever they wanted, and there was no mechanism for recompense. Like nobody could say anything.
What was that word?
You just shut up.
Yeah.
But now,
you gonna learn something today.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me, like you see people getting in trouble now. But you don't see solid dudes getting in trouble. Because they were always solid. You don't see really solid men who, like, I ain't trusted that nigga since Pizza Rock. I'm like, what is this right here? Like, anybody, I'm serious. Anybody that means pizza and vodka is trying to do some foul shit. I'm not even trying to be mean. I'm not even trying to be mean. There was a clarity that we had, that was connected to an idea.
I wasn't ready.
Like nigga, like when I see like Jeffrey Epstein pedophile list, and on it were two ex-presidents, and what is this, Stephen Hawkins? Like we navigated those same spaces, went to those same, we were in that same space, but we were like, if we were as foul or if what we did was as dirty, you would hear this shit about. We navigated a space where people were really morally corrupt and did some
Speak for yourself.
And did some foul shit, but you don't. And it was because we were at least. I'm not saying we were angels because obviously these niggas ain't, but we were men, who loved what we did, loved the people around us, and erased a lot of tapes. That's all.
That's all you got to erase. So wait. So how do we fix this? Is this something that can be fixed?
Okay, I'm gonna answer that. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you a secret about the Kings. Said would go out, and then Said had a team, and Said's team would go out in the lobby and pass out backstage passes. They'll just go out and pass out.
I wasn't married.
Okay, I was about to ask. What year was the King?
Praise God.
This is when I refer to him as Sammy Davis.
Was Lorna passing out the flyers?
No, she was
the passes.
DL.
Not at all.
DL would go out there first, then Ced would go out. Then there was a little intermission.
Right.
During the intermission, Ced's team would be out there passing out backstage passes.
Yeah, for the revival.
I always had my dressing room connected to Ced.
Right.
And then I'd be on the other side of DL because I wanted to be between them two. Bernie was off down there on his own because Bernie had a whole nother thing going on.
Yeah.
So after the show was over and I come off stage, our dressing room was connected. Whenever I would open the door to the dressing room, it was a lounge. Ced had it was a tavern. It was a full-blown tavern. And his rider, he always had port.
Oh, yeah.
In it, and I never drank. You know,
You didn't at all.
I never drank, man. I just now started drinking scotch about 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And so Ced had this stuff he used to have on his rider called port. And he would have E40 in the dressing room. I remember we'd be out in Oakland and he'd go, him and E40 be, yeah, it's got legs on it. I didn't even know what they was talking about. It's when the stuff started dripping down the glass, and I was there getting educated. But you had your pick of what you wanted to do.
Right.
And then DL would come over, and then we exchanged cigars all the time. We smoked cigars. We were smoking so many cigars, they was fining us. And we the fine had gotten so big, we would send the fine in before we came to town and just pay the fine off. Because we smoked cigars every weekend.
But what was going on in Bernie's room?
That was a whole nother situation.
He was.
We had to leave that alone.
I
Bernie
told
not here.
Ced one time. I said, I'm not
do nothing. Bernie drank beer and
a Miller
Junior draft, and
smoke cigars.
he walk alone.
Yeah.
As soon as we had to go to after party every night.
Right.
As soon as the Crown Royal people came in and Bernie saw him, Bernie was gone.
Yep, he was a whole different thing.
Bernie didn't do none of this, man. Bernie didn't do none of that.
I didn't either.
You'll catch him back at the bar. He'd be at the bar at the hotel.
Yeah.
Just chilling.
You see, that's why when people talk about, hey, they treated Bernie like shit. Bruh, that was an impossibility. This was a man's
And he liked
man.
you. He liked everybody. He just did his own thing.
Yeah.
I remember the worst. I'll never forget this. I told Ced, hey, man, I ain't gonna drink no more. I'm finna drink. Anyway, this nigga was so disappointed in me. He didn't encourage me. He didn't say. He said, "What am I gonna do?" I said, "Man, I think, you know,
Now, was it an event that made you say?
No, I thought I should. It didn't last long. I'm just,
Yeah.
But I remember
It's like when somebody go vegan.
Right. A week.
he didn't encourage me. He didn't go, man, I'm so proud of you. Stick with it. Hey, man, I'm not going. Oh, he would do it. Oh.
See, on the spectrum of, like, Bernie did the least.
Yeah.
Then it was me.
Yeah.
The least.
And then it was them two. Them two was a whole separate mechanism.
Give me the definition of what that means.
Let's just say rolling trouble. But like that's what DL was saying. That's why you see none of the cats really get caught out there really bad. Because we understood the rules.
Right.
You know, some parameters to this. Okay, you have the power to do this, but just, you know, like my father-in-law always said, just because you can do something don't mean you should.
Right.
You know, everything is possible, and that's what's the matter with the world today. They can do it, and they do it.
Right.
Well, now you got to pay. You got to pay. But we stayed within the parameters. Even though the Kings of Comedy tour, we were on tour for real. We had parameters, man. We were decent guys. It was 4 really decent guys on tour. So it wasn't we was just laying mayhem in every city. And we were walking out and girls was just screaming No, man. We were just 4 good guys on tour. And, you know, we had some good times, but we followed the rules and we stayed in the parameters. And then, you know, thank God there was no phone cameras and internet.
Yeah, I think
But
too.
that helped.
Thank you, Jesus.
For Walter, For Walter, to me at the time, it was the idea that, because, you know, you're right, we still have a brand that 20 plus years later, almost 30 years now, like the name Kings of Comedy reigns and kind of represents itself. Like it's an idea that, you know, anybody that knows comedy knows the idea of what this brand means, right? And so
The fact that I would say right now, these cats can go on stage right now and still do what they did.
yeah.
Like I'm every week I'm somewhere. because that's what I do. But I know these cats right now could go on stage and rock a house. But even if it's you know, on some old humbug shit, they can do it for 15 minutes. But I don't know that that's indicative of how everybody. And you can only do that if you have a lexicon of experiences and a love.
Do you still love stand-up comedy?
No more than I think stand-up for me was like they were always more polished than me. Mm-hmm. They were always more.
You talk about the other three kids?
Yeah, they were always. But I always. I love the kind of stand-up that hurts. You know what I mean? That like to me, it has to be resonant. I have to make people feel some level of something. So, you know, I'm out every single week.
Yeah.
Because what would I be if I was not this? So I love stand-up, and I hate that because the stakes are so much higher. Now you can say something on stage, and somebody can pull millions of dollars from you.
Right.
Or now
I remember the first time seeing you. It was the Bay Area comedy competition.
Right.
And I thought me, Sully, and Sean Wayans were the only black comedians in L.A.
Yeah.
And so we go to the Bay Area comedy competition, and there's niggas everywhere. And I open the door, and it's you, it's Joe, it's Ricky, and then Mark Curry was hosting,
Right.
and y'all was on stage, and I looked at my little joke book and was like, where's that pizza place on Telegraph that we could go to? Because I was like, I am not a comedian. I am not ready for what I'm looking at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you guys, it was just a different level of comedy. And then I remember when you came to town, there was always this buzz. Cedric The Entertainer. I'm like, what's his real name? I'm like, nobody knows. Nobody knows his real name. Cedric The Entertainer. And I was like, why
Seldom seen. I don't know.
Yes. And then to see you put the house in a frenzy, I was like, damn, I'm still not ready.
No,
and then you were on a different level. Like you were, Steve Harvey was,
Yeah.
you were our Richard Pryor.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I heard about you because I used to open up for Jeff Foxworthy.
Oh, wow.
So I knew about you in these mainstream
Right.
rooms,
Yeah.
just
We can play 'em.
destroying.
Yeah.
Right? And then I heard about Vucurez. I wasn't black enough to go there yet. And I heard about the damage you were doing down there and the comedians that were coming down there. So
See, man.
you were like,
Look, this is not me bragging. This is a fact. This is a fact. I started black radio nights and black nights in white comedy clubs.
Yeah.
Yep.
I started that. I started it in Mobile, Alabama.
With Skip Cheatham, who's
With Skip Cheatham.
Who's my executive.
And what I did was, because back in the day, man, comedy clubs was Tuesday through Sunday. But they papered the room all the way to Friday.
Right.
And then they charged on Friday, Saturday nights. So what I did was I went to 93 BLX, and I was on the radio all day with them dudes, and all of a sudden Black started coming to the club. So I told the club owner, charge them this Thursday night is BLX night, charge them 93 cents to get in. Because they call letters for the station was 93 point something BLX, to BLX 93. So I charged 93 cents. And then I told him, I said, hey man, we were next to a Food World. I said, you need to go over there and get some change for these black people. He said, no, it's just 93 cents, but they'll just pay the $1. I said, oh, my man, if you tell black people it's 93 cents,
It's getting ready to be
they
93.
won't. Your ass
run
got to
me
get this
mine,
nickel and
dog.
2 pennies. You got to have this nickel and this 2 pennies. They're not finna play with you. He said, no, they'll just give $1. They had to get their ass over to that stove. Because them black people's going, it's 93 cents, dog.
where's my 7?
And now you want a 2-drink minimum? Oh no, you got to give these people their money. And I started Black Nights.
Wow.
And so I was the one who then put Black Nights in white comedy clubs. Because I was doing white comedy clubs, making $1,500 a week, $2,500 a week. Then I started making $5,000 a week. Then I met Sinbad, and Sinbad really told me how to do the game. And I started doing door deals. Dog, I was walking out of comedy clubs with $65,000 out of a comedy club, $70,000. I was doing door deals like that. But Sinbad was making 100. Because what people don't know, Sinbad was doing 15 shows. Sinbad would do 2 kids show matinees. I tried that.
Right.
Yeah,
Not for
yeah.
you?
I love that for you. I love that for you.
That was the
Hey,
biggest.
look here, little motherfucker.
Hey, dog.
That's why your daddy
Dog.
left. Wait, I don't think you're supposed to
Dog,
say that.
Is it
They-
3 o'clock yet? Yeah.
Bro, I wanted Sinbad's money so bad, I did a 2 o'clock Saturday matinee show.
Not too-
And I had these shoes on that had this like leopard fur tip on it. And I was on the tip of the stage talking, and the little boy was rubbing my shoe. I said, you little motherfucker. Woo!
Last show?
And that was the first and last
Grand
show.
opening, grand closing.
And I didn't have that many kids out there, no way, because about 30 kids was out there. And he touched my fur, and I, you little motherfucker. And that was the end of the.
The
But
first time I played,
Sinbad was making 100,000.
It was first time I ever
In a club?
Yeah.
Sinbad, because he was doing door deals, he would do 90%.
Right.
Sinbad would sell out 3 shows Thursday, 2 shows Thursday, 3 Friday, 4 Saturday, 4 Friday. He was just making a clock. Nobody was bigger than Sinbad in them clubs, man. And I don't think Sinbad has got enough due for what he was
Shout out.
in the comedy world, because Sinbad was the black dude
He was the standard.
at the white clubs that was making a killing.
It was only you and AJ Jamal and Sinbad. It was only the only.
AJ Jamal.
And I remember
AJ Jamal is still on cruise ships today.
and still does it.
And I still talk to him.
AJ has one of the greatest jokes ever. He had a joke about not wanting to go home. You remember this one? He hated going home because he got a family, so he would sometimes just sit in front of his house and wait. He said one time he was sitting out front and the police pulled up. Woo! He's like, what are you doing? He goes, hey man, I live here. I just don't feel like going inside. He goes, oh, you married? You got kids? He's like, yeah. He said, me too. I'm not even a cop. I just don't want to go home. AJ Jamal was a beast.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
AJ Jamal said he's the lightest person in his family.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I remember
For
that.
those of you who don't know AJ Jamal, he is as black as a Bible. Okay? He is dark.
He make you think he had tinted windows all the time.
Yes, he makes Michael Blackson look red bone. Okay, he's blue.
The first time I ever played the Cleveland Improv, because they never let us play, they said, you were from Cleveland, and they said, well, we'll let you come, but we'll give you a door deal. We ain't gonna give you no expenses. We'll give you 90% of the door.
And at what level of deal is this?
It was
Is this after
the first time I
Hughley's?
ever played. The first time I ever played a mainstream room was 94, 5, 6, something like that. The Hughley's came out in 97, so not. And Steve said, I said, man, they don't want to pay me. They said, well, take a door deal. I said, what's the door deal? He said, well, you just tell them you want X amount of the money. So at that time, they charged black people $30 to go, because they were trying to make it cost prohibitive. They didn't want them in there.
Right.
But they said, if these niggas gonna be in here, they're gonna
Pay.
I did like 12 shows. I never forget, I was in an accountant like this. I said, man, this is the best deal. And up until about 5 years ago, that was my deal when I went to them. That they would have to give me a door deal. But no one knew what that was. We didn't have any idea what a door deal was. They didn't let us play. I remember playing at a joint, Charlie Goodnight's in Charlotte, and they tried to make me sign a paper that said, you can't joke about white people. Like it was like, and I said, nah, man, he said, well, we're not gonna let you play. I said, well, you better tell these 3 sold out shows they gotta go. It was such, black comedies keep comedians keep comedy clubs and venues afloat now.
Absolutely.
But back then we were nothing.
They do.
They didn't want to
They mistreated us.
Yep.
2 blacks couldn't work on the same show together.
That's ridiculous to me.
Man, if I went to Montgomery one time and Carl Strong was on the show, they took me off. Carl Strong was an interesting dude out of Milwaukee because his whole gig was, I get a standing ovation every night. And so, like, as the host, you're supposed to do this tagline for him before he comes out. And then he does a tagline, and so at the end of the show, they give him a standing ovation. It was a setup.
Right.
Well, I didn't feel like that.
Right. Not tonight.
I didn't really.
I don't feel like
I want to
seeing
hear
this
this
shit
bullshit. I want to see the standing ovation you're talking about. So I didn't do the tagline. You know, he was from Milwaukee. He used to wear this suit, had a little part in his hair. You know, motherfucker put a part in his hair. I don't really care for him.
You can't trust it. You can't
So
trust a black man with a part.
brushed the part in his hair. You black. How the fuck you brush it? He didn't cut it. He brushed it in there. And so I didn't do the tagline, and the motherfucker didn't get the standing ovation that night. He came off stage. He said, hey, man, what are you doing? I told you. Do you know you've ruined the street? I didn't get a standing ovation. I said, no, man, I thought you got the standing ovation because you was good. That's what I really thought.
Right.
I wasn't playing the reindeer game with you, man.
It was a gimmick.
Right, it was so interesting back then, man. It was like, you know, I knew, man, that we were making things possible for day. I tell you, the young cats now that give us a lot of respect, and that's 85 South.
Yeah.
So them cats is respectful of the game.
They dope too.
And they're doing something I thought could never be done. They're actually standing on stage. What we did back at Vous Courez till 6 o'clock in the morning, they do every night, but they do it in arenas. And they improv in
together.
Yes.
And they're together. They remind me of the Kings, except they doing it on an improv level, and how they doing it is like amazing to me, because they doing something I ain't think could ever be done. So I think them young cats is some bad boys. I think
so. Speaking of arenas, because you guys were doing arenas all across the country, selling out all over the world, and you guys decided to do a movie that you call Spike Lee.
Yeah, I mean, the movie we had the opportunity to do the movie, and then the idea came up to who could direct, and we wanted the movie to have more significance. So
why him though?
Spike Lee. He was
He had never done like a comedy concert.
No, but he was culture. He was culture. Like, he was definitely culture, right? Like, he was the person that was like young. He was doing the Michael Jordan commercials.
Right.
He had did his movies. He was that director, like that gives you greed. Like right before John Singleton, like all that whole kind of crew started to come
Matty
out.
Rich, all them dudes.
Yes.
Matty, like all those guys, like became, but. You know, and Spike Lee was one of the biggest names in there. And of course, like we did Radio City, I think, and then, he came to Madison Square Garden. He came to see the show, loved the show, and then we had to make the deal. He was, he cut into the money, so it was a thing. It was a thing to bring Spike Lee on, but we knew that it was a smart thing to do. I mean, Walter fought hard for it because it made sense. MTV, it made sense for them, and to be able to do the movie to get it greenlit. But we were already selling out all these arenas and everything. But just as far as people making movies, I guess that makes sense. Like who's directing, and it was something that we had to be convinced on when it came to his money. Like it's
his biggest.
He was one of us.
I think it's one of his. Probably his biggest box office success ever.
Really?
And up until the end, when it came out in August of that year, it was the biggest August release of a movie.
A movie, period, not a comedy concert, just a...
Because, see, they didn't give us a lot of theaters.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. Our per office, I remember the first time I ever heard that was per box office gross. Like, because we had so limited theater. We had one of them.
And we was just crushing it. Well, they only gave us like 700 theaters, something like that. There wasn't no 3,000 what people get.
Put you in all the black cities,
bruh.
And y'all destroyed.
And we was crushing them, and it was just a huge event, man. It's like when I said to the movie, I know we all come to see the Kings, because that was just, dog. We had no other way of promoting it. We just do radio, and that was it. Wasn't no social media. We had no newspaper articles. We just launched this thing in a movie, and we didn't know how big it was gonna be. And it turned out to be a monster.
Tell that story about that newspaper article. So we was on tour for like 2 years. We was talking about this beforehand. We never got pressed, dog. Like this.
Not even a little local paper in Charlotte.
I mean, maybe that, but not national.
But not a
press,
national
dog. Like, and you talking about it was like Rolling Stones, Janet Jackson, Kings of Comedy, the touring. Like right now it would be the equivalent of when Beyonce them out, right? And how the world goes crazy over their tours. Yeah, just the tour itself. It was Rolling Stones, Janet Jackson, Kings of Comedy.
And then one year it was just Rolling Stones and the Kings.
But remember Tom Petty, the first time I ever heard Tom Petty.
Oh yeah, Tom Petty.
I never heard of him. And it used to be called Polestar.
Yep.
And I said, so this is how insulated we was. And I so it was Tom Petty and then Kings of Comedy. Like, who the fuck is Tom Petty?
Right.
Bro.
Who is this nigga? We don't.
Dog, that's how big we were touring, and we didn't even know it. And then what happened was we went to D.C. and we sold out a Friday, Saturday at the MCI. And then Walter came to us Sunday night, Monday morning, gave us a call and said, hey, man, what y'all doing next weekend? We turned away too many people. I think we could sell out next Friday, next Saturday. Bro, these tickets ain't even been on sale.
Now, tell everybody how many seats.
It's 16,000.
So that's 16. That's
so
32,000.
We sold out 32,000 gone Friday, Saturday in D.C. He called us Monday morning or Sunday night and said, hey, man, would y'all come back next Friday and Saturday? Hell yeah,
Chicago
DC.
too.
That's unheard of.
And Houston.
We
too.
did.
Yeah.
So we came back the following weekend and just put the ticket sales on Monday evening and sold out both of them. Well, this light-skinned brother came to the show that worked for USA Today and said, hey man, how many newspaper articles y'all got out about y'all? And we looked at each other and went, nah man, we never done it. He said, how many interviews have you done? No, we've never done an interview. They said, how long y'all been touring? We said, couple years. He said, no one's written about you?
Yeah.
He said, do you know you just sold out to him? I said, yeah. But dog, we Chicago, we done Phillips, we sell out the Pontiac Silverdome. We done sold out every place we've ever been. He said, how? I said, well, we tell them we coming. He said, how do you tell them? I said, we tell them on the radio we coming. He said, I want to do an article. We went, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, we were on the front cover of Life section in USA Today. And after that, the tickets was already selling out. But after that, as soon as you put them on, it was like Jay-Z, we wasn't selling out in 2 hours or nothing. But what difference does it make? If you can't get in, you can't get in.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And we just sold out everything.
And that audience was predominantly black?
Predominant. It was all
Yeah,
niggas.
at first.
So-
yeah.
I'm saying that, and when did it start to slightly?
After
was it
the
after the
article.
article?
After the article.
you saw mainstream. You like
After the article, you start seeing white people.
Right.
In the beginning, it was just black.
right.
You know, I don't
And then
know
you had to
if
sign
it's-
that paper again.
I
when you
think
came
it's
on the-
because
we had to
they
do that.
read.
Not that.
Say that again. What'd you say?
The one thing that was funny
I
is
think you just a real testament that they read. Boy. Boy.
we used to we went on sale at the was it MCI?
Ooh, I'm
what's
gonna be
the
in trouble again.
The one in
Deal gonna be so
Chicago.
happy.
United.
United.
I'm gonna be so happy.
We put the show on sale, and then after that, the other show sold out faster than the show we were doing.
Oh yeah.
So we had to go to United Center a bunch of times. We did it in Houston. I remember the sound. I mean, they would laugh so much. Have you ever been standing next to a speaker and it hurts your ear?
Yes.
Like, it's something about the way it hurts your teeth.
Right.
Like, I was like, this. And I told a joke that was so loud. I'm not closing my legs. Like, I'll blow my head off on stage. Like, it was that. It was the most. Like, I remember when you would come to the room and they had the catering done, and you would go to the room and we would stand at the Ritz.
Oh yeah.
I'll never forget, we were at that fucking, it was in Houston. It was the Four Seasons or Houston. Bernie, I'm in my room, the door opens, I have a front suite, and the door opens, and I go, who the fuck is that? He go, who the fuck is this? I said, nigga, what you doing in my room? I grab a pistol, I run outside, and Bernie's sitting in my parlor with a pistol too. I'm like, nigga, it's me and you. It's me and you.
Oh, these dudes right here, him and Bernie was different. Me and Sid didn't have guns. Me and Sid was peaceful.
Y'all wasn't peaceful, but
These dudes, but man,
How you take a gun on the road?
oh yeah.
It was 1980.
Well, you know-
Oh yes, yes.
it was before
There was no
9/11.
TSA.
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
it's not a we're free.
He in there with a pistol. I'm like, nigga, who are you? And we both had guns like, nigga, it's you.
Oh my
They gave him the
God.
wrong room. But rather than say I got the wrong room, he gonna shoot it out. Like that's fucking Bernie.
shoot it out.
So I gotta die in the lobby because you got the wrong key? It was hilarious.
Would you think you would be where you are today without the Kings of Comedy,
No.
No,
Cedric?
no, impossible.
No, it's a
Impossible.
totally different. It was a very unique situation where I think it still stands strong to this day because when it showed up, it was the Budweiser Superfest of fucking comedians. Like everybody had these individual kind of energies, but nobody had ever did a tour where you kind of got to see all of your favorites in one night,
Right.
and then that thing.
Shit was like- it was like Wu-Tang
Yeah,
playing.
yeah.
It's
It
like-
became a phenomenon. It just felt totally different. So it gave you another kind of, because we, like you said, we all had individual fame. It took
Right.
a degree of
Sure.
downgrading, if you will, like to go with everybody because we were all individually guys that were selling out 5,000 seats, 2,000 on our own. And that's enough. If you're a comedian, you like, oh,
That's
nigga, I'm
fantastic.
killing it, bro. You're like, you're So to go on tour with somebody else and be like, all right, cool, but then you don't see it. You don't see 16,000. You don't see 16,000 4 times. That's crazy. 42,000 at the Georgia Dome. Like, that was ridiculous. Like, you know, those kind of things was like, you like, that's crazy. So.
You know, it was something, man. The Kings was something that was, it was so epic. And, you know, man, I look at the landscape of comedy today. I see the footprint that we had in this thing, man. And it's undeniable. I mean, really, it's really not. Everybody after that really owes a debt of gratitude to the Kings.
Absolutely.
Because, bruh, it put the chitlin circuit on the map.
Right.
Because that's all we were. Right. But let me tell you something, how much of a chitlin circuit it was. The chitlin circuit we had put on the map, we started doing the chitlin circuit in arenas and still nobody knew. Right. Nobody wrote about us. Nobody interviewed us. They just ignored us, man. White media act like we did not exist. And they ignored us. You know we in town. We on Polestar magazine. How you not seeing this? It's Rolling Stones and the Kings. Okay. Damn, dog, yeah, ain't nobody gonna say, who the hell is he? Oh, it's black guys. Right. And then I'm gonna tell you, man, how cold it was. We are the reason that blue-collar comedy came to birth. Right. Because Bill Engvall, Jeff Foxworthy, Ron White, and Larry the Cable Guy, they came together and they said out loud, we will crush all of the Kings records. And they knew they would because they was white. Yep. And they knew it. But what they didn't know was just how big we was to the culture.
Absolutely.
And they didn't come close to them records. They couldn't come close to them theater sellouts because they would come from white comedy clubs. Right. And they every week they somewhere. Right. We were an anomaly, man. Right. We were a rarity. We put 4 black dudes together and launched it. And they said, well, we'll put 4 white dudes together and we'll crush it.
Better just
no, I remember, listen, because my manager was J.P. Williams. J.P. Williams, So J.P. had Jeff and Larry. And so I remember the incarnation of the Blue Collar Tour. And I was like, oh, this could work because there are more white people in the world. Brother. They should do
but you know what
just
the
as good.
saddest? The saddest is, the only thing that I'm sad about our experiences, I never felt like we finished.
Yeah, man.
I felt like we left too much on the table. Yeah. And I felt like
in terms of doing more TV, film,
after. Just everything that could have happened, I don't think we maximized it. No. And I think to me, and I'm not speaking for anyone, but to me, it would have had, you know, a seismic effect on the culture and comics and venues, because we left it to chance, and then after that, it was the Latin Kings of Comedy, and it was the Queens of Comedy. Right. Like, from that thing came this, and it just, the only thing I'm sad about in that whole experience, because I think there's nothing I regret about that. The only thing I regret is, and it's the what ifs. Like, if we would have finished, because it seemed incomplete.
Because, you know, it shot Bernie to the moon. Right. You know, the King shot Bernie to the moon, and Bernie became, like, really hot. Right. You know, we had TV shows before, but Bernie got TV shows, movie offers. And we lost a lot, man, because they came to us to redo a Blazing Saddle version for the Kings. They wanted us to do the Kings going to Vegas. Oh, man, it was so many movies came to us. But then scheduling, man, we couldn't put it together. And DL is right, man. We left, unlike blue-collar comedy, they stayed together, did movies, they did all kind of stuff.
Merchandise.
But, man, we left a lot. And a part of it was because, like, just going back to something we were talking about earlier, like DL was saying how glad he was when Sid was in social media finally, because this is like the coolest dude in the world.
Nicest guy.
Bro, but I mean, just solid man, though. I mean, though, he ain't shitting on nobody, he ain't dogging nobody, nothing. But I called him, I texted him right away and said, hey, man, pay no attention to that bullshit, because I know this dude. So I was with him. I've seen, this is the funniest dude I've ever been around in my life, man. Just the little shit we said for 7 years on the Steve Harvey show, sitting in the dressing room with these dudes smoking cigars. The shit that has come out of his mouth,
Yeah.
When we having cigars that you can't take on stage because there's no way the audience would even understand. Like he said, he wants to hurt you a little bit with his comment.
Yeah.
Motherfucker would
Yeah.
dig your asshole out.
For sure.
And put it in his bowl. He'd have a little bowl of asshole in here. And everybody's little booty hole would be in here. And he
No, one of them was so tangy. I don't know what this was.
Dog, he just in here like that. It's a snack. And that's his comedy, man.
Right.
And these dudes would say stuff before the show, man. We would be backstage vomiting. Yeah. Go outside and the audience would get a hell of a show. But I knew back in the dressing room,
We're gonna have some fun.
I was dealing with some minds, man, that was so twisted and dark. Because like people say, comedians cross the line. Well, motherfucker, the problem is your line too close. Motherfucker, that's your problem. Our line over there somewhere. So we ain't crossed the line. And we don't know we crossed the line until we cross it. But we don't know y'all ain't ready. Like, they stopped me. He stopped me from doing a joke, because I shouldn't even say the shit, but anyway. I was gonna do this joke because somebody had got killed in a crash or something, somebody, R&B singer. And I was mad, and I just said, hey, man, we'll put all these motherfucking rappers on the goddamn plane. And Saya said, oh, dog, you can't. Oh, you can't do that. So I was gonna put all the rappers, I was gonna do a joke where I was gonna put certain rappers on the plane, crash that motherfucker.
Right.
And Saya told me, because Saya was always into hip-hop culture.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I was distant.
Yes.
Yeah.
You saw the Kings of Comedy. I played Lenny Williams, Earth, Wind & Fire. I ain't really give a damn. Because when I heard, I was in college when when that came out, and I told everybody, this shit ain't gonna last. I don't know
It's a passing fancy.
I don't know who came up with this talking and shit. Right. But this shit will not be around long.
Is that a nigga that came up with bottled water? This shit can't happen.
Man, I've never been so wrong in my life. I just didn't see it happening. But
This right here can't end, you guys. Like, we really need to figure out whether it's called We Gotta Find the Newest King or to see you
But
three
I think it
men
should
on
be what
stage.
it only works. It's like a plane. A plane needs certain principles of flying. It's lift, drag. This needs that. And I'll say one of the one things I'm happy about is how we still in the zeitgeist. Like I'll see what Steve is doing, it's still relevant. Sid is doing, it's still relevant. But I stand on this. I know these men. I'm proud of these men. I've seen what these men can do. I know them to be men. But when that happened to Cedric, it made me so happy.
How many times you gonna say that, D?
I sent Shannon flowers. I was like, finally,
Shannon Sharp.
someone
Put that guy in
said
the
something
bathroom.
bad about this nigga.
Who's that fucking guy right there? Get him out of here.
He's out of here.
Fucking making noises. Get that guy. Throw him in the bathroom.
Steve Harvey, Cedric The Entertainer,
Yo.
D.L. Hughley. Thank you for doing this.
Big up, dog. No doubt,
great.
man.
Thank you, man.
Great.
This was fucking great.
Hey, this is good for us,
Good.
man.
This is fun.
Can we lift up our glasses?
Cheers.
A toast to one of the greatest group of men to ever hold a microphone on stage at the same time.
I love it, man. Cheers, man.
Salud.
Cheers, my brother, man.
To the
I
king.
like the fact that your water look like a drink.
It's a drink.
Yeah.
I'm drinking now,
Well,
just
man.
like Steve.
You're not.
West Indians are ashamed of him.
Anybody know
Rum in there.
You see how many times I done been to the bathroom? Man, I put alcohol in my body. My body go, refuse.
Here's the keys of comedy and smaller prostates, baby. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. This has been fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Y'all let me know what
Yeah,
you're doing.
will. All right, Jeff.
Love you, homeboy.
Love you, boy.
What y'all talking about?
Let's get a
hooking
picture. Hold on, let's get a picture.
tomorrow?